Today, we're expanding the LEGO Transformers collection with a bot that isn't strictly G1 based, but rather more of an evergreen design, Arcee. After I finished designing Hound, I wanted to try making something smaller and opted to go for a motorcycle transformer. Arcee was a natural contender to go with for me, since throughout my childhood, she was typically the motorcycle transformer. I chose to stay away from her G1 alt mode since it doesn't really fit well with the Earth mode aesthetic that I'm going for, and the original alt mode typically leaves her with a big backpack, and that's just not really creative when it comes to the transformation. Between that and the fact that she's never really had a consistent car mode, a motorcycle just seemed right. Her design is meant to invoke traits of her classic appearance like her head shape and back panels, and blend it with the standard looking motorcycle alt mode. It's sorta like how Hasbro now does their Transformers Evergreen designs, where the characters are very recognizable, but they might not always stick to one particular continuity. You'll see more designs like this in the future, where I don't always stick strictly to G1 designs and go for a more classic character feel, especially if it's more practical to design. But I'm always designing these with a consistent style in mind for both bot mode and alt mode, so that said, I will generally stick more to G1. Now onto this particular character. Arcee is an iconic Transformer, and it felt natural to include her in my collection. The design came out very clean and doesn't include a lot of kibble, with it mostly being the wheels on her back. Early on, I tried multiple ways to better integrate the wheels into her bot mode, but ultimately, sticking them on the back was what looked most natural, especially for the transformation. Also, much like the Hound design, her design here isn't final. There are some pieces on my version that are off from what I designed in LEGO Studio, like this bracket piece here in the back of the head, whereas the final design uses some helpful bricks with studs on two sides, which looks a lot more clean. I also had to make a few last minute adjustments to her wheel assembly, but this shouldn't impact any functionality. Looking at her articulation, I was able to include a lot with just using ball joints. Practically all parts of her body are made up of ball joints, including her head, shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, and ankles. While normally I would feel like too many ball joints would look sloppy on a design, I think that her general size here allows things to hold up fairly well under a number of poses. It easily makes her the most dynamic bot of the collection so far. The only area where things fall apart though is at the biceps, where based on how short things had to be, they do come apart fairly easily. But otherwise, the body is pretty sturdy and fun to pose. Since she turns into a motorcycle that scales with the other vehicles I've made so far, she's a lot shorter than Optimus here and the other bots I've made so far, but it doesn't look out of place to me. Next to designs like Arwinopolis 98's Bumblebee, she fits in quite well and doesn't look comedically small or anything. It reminds me a lot of the Transformers Prime designs. Her transformation is the most fun to do in my opinion, as it's really simple and involves some simple folding. You first turn the legs around and bring them up to the torso where they should clip in. You can then turn the head around, revealing the windshield and handlebars. Next, you bring up the front wheel assembly a bit and fold down the back panels. Finally, you just fold in the arms here and then shift the front wheel apparatus up. Again, what I would normally consider to be a little sloppy with everything just being limbs folded up on ball joints actually comes together in what I think is a very convincing LEGO motorcycle. I think a big part of it is helped by the fact that this is small scale LEGO, where things are more left up to interpretation and it's less obvious for things like her hands sticking out of the back. The motorcycle rolls really well and is super fun to just swoosh around. Her back panels even turn to little kickstands so that the bike can stand on its own. And ultimately, the design scales really well with other vehicles in the collection. Speaking of which, let's get ourselves a rollout shot. Just like the Hound showcase, I wanted to open this review with a quick explanation of my inspiration. Instead of it being about why I chose a specific character, it's more about why I chose a specific design, or rather blend of designs. I hope that this design works well for you, and I hope that this new showcase makes you all more excited for what's to come, as it's not going to be entirely G1 centered, which I think is for the best. This way, we'll be seeing more cohesive designs and characters that aren't in the original show. If you'd like to make this for yourself, I linked the LEGO Studio file down below in the description, and if you end up building it, let me know down in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe for more Transformers and LEGO to come, and I'll see you all next time.